Okay, I know what you might be thinking, but Sebastian, where is Mega Man 3 secrets? And to that I say, shut up! Have you ever thought about that? Have you ever thought about just shut? In all seriousness, don't worry, it is coming. I just didn't want to spend the third week in a row researching Mega Man, so I'm doing a Kirby video instead. And next week most likely will be Mega Man 3 secrets. But I do have a lot of video ideas, so that's a bit flexible. With that being said, enjoy the show. To start things off, let's look at some glitches. To be honest, most glitches in this game occur when Kirby is in two states at the same time. Like here, where Kirby dies while eating a Maxim tomato, which freaks the game out and bugs his movement. A similar glitch can be performed in the Kabula boss fight. If you exhale an enemy as you grab the mint leaf for the boss fight, Kirby will do his best to try and stand on ground that's not really there. Also, this is a fun sound. Now, this might not be a glitch, but I still think it should be included. Before the Wispy Woods boss fight, you can land on his hitbox and just kind of chill for some reason. Lastly, we have two glitches that are pretty similar to the ones I've already shown you. If you die while sucking in a mint leaf or a super spicy curry, you will respawn with those powers still activated. Pretty neat. Speaking of mint leaf, it doesn't really look like one. Let's see if the wiki can tell us a reason for this. A sweet potato? Okay, moving on to regional differences. Apparently in Japan it was called a sweet potato because I really have no idea why it was called a sweet potato in Japan, but I guess I'll just have to live with it. Anyway, let's look at some box art. The Japanese one is fine, but I don't think it's that great. However, I do like the international one, except for one caveat. Why is Kirby white? I mean, we all know he's pink, right? Well, before the game came out, the team had a little bit of confusion on what color he really was. Sakurai, the game's creator, insisted that Kirby should be pink. Others said he should be white, and some said yellow. Eventually, they decided on pink, but for some reason, the international release uses a white Kirby. Another thing that is different is the name. Where most of the world got Kirby's Dream Land, Japan got Hoshi no Kabi, or Kirby of the Stars. Some other changes occur in the game, like the changing of this text or a different title screen. There's also a minor change on the screen telling us how to access Extra Mode. Alright, now for some good stuff. When you beat the game, you were shown this image, which when you input on the title screen will enter into Extra Mode, which just makes the game a lot harder. However, this is not the only code you can input on the title screen. Press down, B select, and you will go into Configuration Mode. In this menu, you can change the amount of lives and health Kirby will spawn within the game. This can make the game much harder, and if you really hate yourself, you can combine this with Extra Mode and play Nightmare Kirby. The health sprite in this menu is actually different in Japan for some reason. The other thing in here is the sound test. Now, if you're a Sonic fan, you know about a sound test, but a lot of Kirby games also have sound tests. Having this sound test is fun, and you can combine this with earbuds and listen to your favorite Kirby songs on the go, which was really something in the early 90s. Oh boy, here we go. Pre-release and unused sprites. Let's start with unused sprites, as there is not that much here. We have the sprite of Waddle Doo looking up for some reason, which may have been used when he was charging up his laser. We also have these DDD sprites, which were most likely used in a scrapped boss intro. Okay, that's enough stalling. Let's get into pre-release stuff. First is Kirby's name itself. Originally, he was going to be called Popopo, as shown in this Japanese pre-release magazine article. This would have made his name match up with DDD, Lololo, and La La La, but for some reason, they decided to have a different name. They pulled a lot of potential names that they thought might work in America, and eventually they decided on Kirby, but where did that name come from? Well, it comes from lawyer John Kirby. You might ask who that is, and he's kind of his own thing in Nintendo history. Around 1983, Universal sued Nintendo saying that Donkey Kong was a ripoff of King Kong. Nintendo hired John Kirby to defend themselves in the case. Nintendo won the case, with one contributing factor being the fact Universal didn't own the rights to King Kong at the time, but that's a whole other thing. To basically say thanks, they used his name for a new character they were making, and I'd say it worked out. But back to Popopo, or is it just Popo? In this pre-release magazine article, it says Popopo. but here it says Popo. And that's what the beta says too. Well, this actually says Tenkuru Popo or Tinkle Popo. And hey, we have beta screenshots. Though they aren't that different. The only changes is that it says Popopo instead of Kirby and score instead of SC colon. But you might have noticed something. That title screen picture I showed you looks nothing like the other ones I showed you. And that's because it was taken by someone else. Yeah, there are a few Kirby Dream Land beta carts floating around in Japan. But sadly, I can't find the ROM for this build online, so we can't play it. But these things are out there. If you ever go to Japan, look for them, and we might find some interesting stuff about the making of the game. Speaking of the making of Kirby, there are a few more things I want to mention about it. We have these sketches that show us ideas on how Kirby's inhale should work and a very different use of the bombs in the game. This one is cool. It shows us how originally when Kirby took damage he would fly back, and when he got low enough he would fly off screen and die. Unfortunately, this idea would be scrapped and never used again. Finally is that they programmed the entire game using a twin Famicom, which is fine, but instead of using a keyboard they used a trackball with an on-screen keyboard. And if that's not bad enough, wait till you hear this. Every enemy's movement was programmed individually in hexadecimal. That is the worst thing I have ever heard in my life. Well, that was different. I mean, the format wasn't, but the game series was. I do enjoy making these videos, and I think it's important to branch out your content early so people don't freak out when you do something new. At least that's my excuse. Thanks for watching to the end, and if you liked it, leave a like and consider subscribing. If not, then our path ends here. Bye.